What's up, guys, and thank you for clicking this video. UFC 306 is tonight, so if you want to make some money, continue watching this video. Leave a like and a comment. Let's get right to it. All right, so our first bet of the night is the first fight of the night. We got Rojas Jr. versus, I can't pronounce this guy's name, so we're going to start with that guy first. All right, so starting out with this guy, as you can see from his record, he's a pretty experienced guy. 25-11, so safe to say he'll be the most experienced fighter against Rojas Jr., which could play in his favor. He has a lot of really cool knockouts, and he's been in some barn burners of fights, which again could play in his way against Rojas Jr. You can see the way he wins. You know, he has 8 wins by knockout. Most of his wins have come from decision, which could play in his favor as far as his experience in the octagon. And he has been subbed a few times. He's a pretty well-rounded fighter. I would give the grappling edge, obviously, to Rojas Jr. But, I mean, he could definitely test Rojas's chin, which throughout Rojas Jr.'s short UFC career, his chin hasn't really been tested. All right, and then we move over to Raul Rojas Jr. As you can see by his record, he's 9-1. His recent loss was a couple fights ago where he lost a decision. And he kind of got exposed, you know, and he kind of picked it up in the next fight, but it was kind of short, so you couldn't really see his evolution in his striking because, as I said, he has the advantage grappling. And honestly, that will probably be his only path of victory, because if he finds himself in like a striking barn burner of a fight that his opponent is used to, I don't think his chin is going to hold up. And so if you look at the way he wins, I mean, obviously you can see most of his wins have been by sub because he's dominant when it comes to grappling. He also hasn't really fought like, you know, good fight. I'm not going to say bad fighters, but he hasn't really fought like crazy good fighters. Neither has the other guy either. You know, I think his record's a little padded as well. I mean, he fought Cody Durden, and I think he lost to him, but that's probably his only notable fighter in the bantamweight division that he's fought. So this could be each other's biggest fight because his Raul Rojas, his opponent, is going to fight someone who hasn't really tested his grappling, and Rojas Jr. hasn't fought someone that can really test his chin. So, but I think that Rojas Jr. probably gets it done by submission because he doesn't want to stay standing with this guy. So, yeah, Raul Rojas Jr. by submission. All right, and moving on to the next fight, we got Irene Aldana taking on my personal favorite women's fighter, or one of them, Norma Dumont. So we're going to start with Norma Dumont. As I mentioned, she is probably one of my favorite female fighters in the UFC. You know, she can kind of do it all, man. She can strike, she can kick. Her grappling is pretty good. She is always training. Sometimes I don't even really understand why she trains so much. I mean, it's like she doesn't have a life, but she's constantly in the gym working on new things. So yeah, she's a really, really good fighter, and you can see the way she wins primarily is via decision. It's kind of weird not to see her have any knockouts, so that just tells you that she's prepared to go 5 rounds. Her 2 losses came to recently to Macy Chiasson, which was a split decision loss, and then she lost at featherweight, I believe, a few years ago to Megan Anderson. Just got knocked out cold. I think that was the first fight I seen her. But she has stringed together some pretty good wins in between those fights and recently. So yeah, you know, this will be a tough test for her against Irene Aldana, who is coming into this fight off of a recent loss to, I believe, Amanda Nunes. I'm not sure if she had a fight after that, but that was for the belt, where she got outclassed basically for 5 rounds, you know, outstruck and outgrappled. She might have had some moments in there, but for the most part, Amanda Nunes had that fight under control from start to finish. But again, it's Amanda Nunes. But again, also, Irene Aldana, her biggest strength is her boxing. She probably one of the best boxers in women's fighting, especially in the bantamweight division. Look at the way she wins is mostly by TKO. Very few fights have went to a decision. So she's built to outbox you and to just have the pinpoint accuracy and working that jab. But she is, as she got exposed by Amanda, she is she's there for the taking in terms of grappling. So, and I think that's where Norma Dumont will probably implement her strategy. Dumont's a good striker, but you don't want to stand with her. So I definitely see grappling as a weakness for Aldana and Dumont by decision. All right, and that leads me to the next fight: Ronaldo Rodriguez versus Ode Osborne. So this fight we're gonna start with Ode. To me personally, and this is just my opinion, I think he's one of the most overrated fighters in the UFC, especially at flyweight. I mean, there's always something happening with his fights. I think he has more canceled fights in the UFC than he has wins. But that being said, I mean he is pretty well rounded, striking, grappling. But to me, I just feel like he's boring, and he somehow always finds himself on the main card. You look at the way he finishes his fights. Most have been by submission, so like I said, he's pretty good on the ground. Um, yeah, I mean he's pretty good wherever the fight ends up going. But it's just if he's not showboating or being cocky, because he has all his pre-fight antics and all that stuff, he's actually a pretty decent fighter. Um, but again, I just think he's overrated. He's like what 4-5 in the UFC. He lost to some decent people, Amir Abazi, Manel Kopp. But to me, I just think he's kind of overrated. But at the same time, he's pretty well rounded. He can fight wherever the fight goes. All right, and that leads me to Ronaldo Rodriguez. He's the definition of a Mexican fighter. That man, he can stand toe to toe with you, which is probably what he would prefer. But he's also good on the ground. He's really good wherever the fight goes, in close, along the cage, in the clinch, grappling on the ground. I mean, the kid can do it all. He can knock. He likes knocking people out. So I can see it happening that way. I think he has the advantage everywhere this fight goes, in my opinion. He's not a fan of going to the judges. And honestly, I personally would not put Ode Osborne on any slip of mine. So with that being said, I don't know how he gets it done, but I think Ronaldo gets it done. So I would just pick him on the money line. All right, and that leads me to the next fight of this card: Zell Huber versus Esteban Riverwich. I'm gonna speed through these last ones I got going on. So for this fight, this should be a pretty good fight. Mostly striking. Probably won't see many takedown attempts. It's probably gonna be standing. This will probably be a pretty quick fight. I like that guy Esteban. I know it's a Mexican Independence Day. This is built around the Mexicans, but yeah, I think that Esteban gets it done. I think he's an underdog too, so you can definitely add him with other parlays. But yeah, I'm going with Esteban money line on this particular fight, just because I think he's tough and he's going to be pushing the pace, and I think he's going to eventually catch Zell Huber's chin. So yeah, I think he's a pretty safe bet in that one. So the next one we got Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopez. This one should be a pretty good fight too. I think it should be a fairly even fight. They got Brian Ortega as the underdog, which rightfully so. I do think it's a little disrespectful. Just because, I mean, Brian Ortega, I mean, he's a submission threat. He's one of the best in the division. But I also see why Diego is favored. I mean, the kid, he's younger. He's hungry. He's a good striker. He's great everywhere. He's great everywhere. Ortega is just great on the ground. And Diego packs more power. So yeah, I see this going to a decision, or Diego probably will end up finding his chin late in the fight, probably in the third round. And then we got the co-main event, part 3, Shevchenko versus Grasso. I had obviously I think most people had Shevchenko winning the first fight. Before that submission. And I want to say most people probably had her winning the rematch as well. Um, you know, I think total what they've had 5 rounds together, 9 to 10 rounds together. Sorry, Shevchenko probably won most of those rounds. So, and I think it's going to be more of the same. Yeah, I think Shevchenko definitely gets it done. Not a knockout, not a submission, but I think she just outclasses her, kind of like how she was doing in the second fight with the takedown. So yeah, Shevchenko money line on that one. And then moving on to the co-main, we got Sean O'Malley versus Merab. This one's a tricky one. You know, if Merab gets O'Malley on the ground, I don't care how good people have been saying that, O'Malley is on the ground and his jiu-jitsu is underrated. If he gets him on the ground, I think it's a wrap. And just like I think Aljamain Sterling, if he got him on the ground, it would have been a wrap. I think Merab is a better grappler than Aljamain, and I think he just ragdolls O'Malley, in my opinion. I think he stays away from that right hand, and I think he probably... I'm not going to go with finish with the takedown, or I'm sorry, with the knockout or submission. I would just say Merab has more ways to win than O'Malley. O'Malley just has the knockout. But Merab has the grappling, he has the submission, he has the ground and pound. I think that the line's too close to pick either way, but if I was to really bet my money, I would say Merab probably gets it done. All right, and here's my entire bet slip. I have Rojas Jr. by submission, Dumont by decision, Ronaldo Rodriguez, money line, Zahuba money line, Lopez, Shevchenko, and Merab Dvalishvili all by money line. So again, if you want to win some money, punch those in. I appreciate you guys for watching this video. UFC 306 goes down tonight. Like and subscribe. Peace.